Today we're doing powers and exponents. When you're raising something a power, which means you're giving a base and exponent. Here, 5 is being raised to the second power, which means 5, the base, has an exponent of 2. What I found, a common misconception I found, is a lot of people will make this 5 times 2. If I want to be 5 times 2, I'd write it like this, how we've done it all year. Or like this. Why would I write it different if I want you to do the same thing? Okay? This is not 5 times 2. It's 5 times 5. You take the base and you times it by itself. How many times the exponent? Here the exponent is 2. So you times the base, which is 5, by itself. So 2. Twice. Okay? If it's a 3, you times the 5 by itself 3 times. All right? Any questions about that? The only other thing you need to know is that any number except 0, when raised to 0 power, is 1. So 5 raised to 0 power is 1. 10 raised to 0 power is 1. The only thing that's not raised to 0 power equals 1 is 0. 0 raised to 0 power you can't do. When you do it in a calculator, it gives you error. Right? But anything else raised to 0 power is 1 every time. All right? So write this down. Mostly what you'll see today is write the expression using exponents. So we look and we see how many times 4 is being times by itself. 4 is my base, and I just count how many 4s are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I raise 4 to the 7th power. Any questions? Here we have negative 8 times negative 8 times negative 8. We leave negative 8 inside parentheses and we raise it to the 3rd power. And I'm going to show you on the next slide why it's important that you leave negative 8 on the inside parentheses. But if you see a number and it's inside parentheses or it's a negative number, keep it inside parentheses. Alright, this is what I want to point out. The difference between a negative inside parentheses and a negative outside. Right? The negative not included in parentheses. We have negative 3 squared. Negative 3 to the 2nd power. So I take negative 3 and I times it by negative 3. What is negative 3 times negative 3? 9. Positive 9. Now let's do negative 3 squared. Okay? Here's the difference. This is not inside parentheses. It's not included with the exponent. So we treat it like it's a minus sign. Or if it's like negative 1. And then we do 3 times 3. What is negative 1 times 3 times 3? Negative 9.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so let's look at the difference. Negative 3, when it's included in parentheses, it's positive 9. When it's outside, the negative is not included with the squared. You do 3 times 3. It's kind of like this. If I did 4 minus 3 squared, I would do 4 minus 3 times 3, which would be 9. So I do 4 minus 9. Here, I would do that. Since it's included in parentheses, I would do 4 plus 9. See the difference? Here I get 13. Here I get negative 5. See the difference? Make sure that if it says the number is negative, like it does here, then it's included inside parentheses. And you include it when you raise it to that power. If it's like this, the negative stays outside. Okay? Treat the negative sign like it's a minus sign and then do 3 times 3. Alright? That's the difference. Don't make a mistake on your homework when you're simplifying expressions because of this. Know the difference. Alright, so let's figure out this. Raising the expression to an exponent. We count how many y's are there. How many y's?
8.
So I raise y to the 8th power. I do it just like if there was a number there. It doesn't change anything. Here I have k plus 2 times k plus 2 times k plus 2. So I raise what's inside the parentheses to the third power, which is k plus 2. There's 3 of them there, so I raise it to the third power. Right? We keep it inside parentheses. Here I have 5RRSSSS. Okay? What I want to do is I want to simplify it, raising it to a power. 5, I raise it to the 1 power, which I just leave alone. I don't do anything to it. I raise the R to the what power? 2. There's 2 of them. And then I raise the S to the what power? 4. I can write it like this, or I can write it like this. This is the way they write in the book. And this is, okay? It's 5 times R squared S to the 4th power. Any questions? Write this down. This is order operations. We talked about it on day 1. All right, we do grouping symbols, we do exponents, we do multiply and divide, and left to right, and then we add and subtract left to right. Now, we're just now introducing exponents. That's why I'm bringing it back up, so you know the order it goes in. It's always the second thing. So what you do is you look for grouping symbols inside an expression. Then you start back over and you look, are there more grouping symbols inside that grouping symbol? And then you do exponents, then you multiply and divide, and then you add and subtract, and left to right always. Then you go outside the grouping symbols and you do exponents, you multiply and divide, and then you add and subtract. You need to know that for today because you're going to be simplifying expressions with exponents. Write this down. Alright, so evaluate x squared plus y cubed. So what I do is I replace x with 6 and I replace y with negative 2. Here's the question. Should negative 2 be inside parentheses or should it be left outside parentheses? Raise your hand if you think it should be inside. Raise your hand if you should be outside. It should be inside. Why is negative 2? Negative 2 is being raised to the 3rd power. So it's inside parentheses. 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. We have 3 negative signs. That's an odd number, so you get a negative answer. 36 plus negative 8 is 28. Good. 10 plus b squared. B is negative 2, so it's included in the parentheses. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 10 plus 4 is 14. Any questions? Here's your assignment for today.